I'm down to dunk.
And I'm down to dunk.
I'm down to dunk.
This is J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shai Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lindy Waters, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kenneth Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk.
We say this is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
Cracklin Oat Bran?
Have you had Cracklin Oat Bran?
No,
No. Okay.
but it's healthy.
You a big oat brand guy?
I'm a big Oat Bran guy.
Okay.
I think I would switch it with Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, eat faster. Don't put as much in the bowl.
If you have a gallon of milk, I can also take home.
You don't have milk at home?
One cinnamon toast.
Okay.
Crunch.
Yeah. Cereal is great. Yeah.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Wednesdays, my good friend Alex Speers. Alex, what's up?
What's up, Andrew?
Alex, what is that you're holding?
It's an extendable fly swatter.
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
I thought it could become like my bat. How Jalen always has a bat. I just always have an extendable fly swatter.
You have been holding an extendable fly swatter in lots of pods.
It's very fun to wave around as you're talking.
I can tell. Another reason for you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can check out this extendable fly swatter.
Yes, very
That
cool.
owl.
Has a target on it.
Oh, it's very nice swatter. Something else that was really nice was that game that Shai had against the Mavs the other night. It didn't result in a win for the Thunder, but man, he was ridiculous.
Yeah, he was incredible. There's been so many games recently, it feels like, where the other team is just making life absolutely miserable on Shai, and he is struggling to get his normal amount of points. He's still doing it, but it looks exhausting. This felt like a return to form in some ways against a team who has been very good defensively in the past. You know, I mean, they were really good last year, but it just didn't matter. No. He was getting to where he wanted to. He was not missing many of his shots, and he was also getting to the line. So when you have that combo, that's how you end up with 42 points. He was awesome. He was great.
The dunks are, it feels new, especially the way he's dunking, because he's dunked in the past and has had some nice dunks in the past, but like when you think of Shai, you don't think of dunking. You think of layups and him just spinning around everywhere.
You think of herky jerky,
Euro stepping, but not dunking. So this season, he has 13 total dunks on the season. He only had 23 last year in 56 games. So, I mean, he's set to do more than last year, but not by like a whole lot. But still, it just feels a little different. Just the two-handed ferocious dunk, the one that he had down the lane was just like, oh, like he's screaming afterwards. Like it just feels different this season than it has in the past.
He's evolving. And luckily, part of that evolution has not been to complain more to the refs.
Yeah.
Because, man, we saw what a display from Luka Doncic. It was literally every play.
On both
and sometimes plays that, like, I don't even know what he was complaining about. Like, he would have, like, just an exaggerated reaction to anything that happened. How is that not exhausting? I mean, maybe that keeps him in the game or something, but having that kind of a reaction he probably did it like 100 times in that game. Like, miserable.
It might have been more because it was on defensive plays too. Like anytime Shai got fouled, he was just exasperated. Like
he would half collapse to the floor like every time.
is a lot. It is a lot. I think Luca. I think this shows that Luca lacks something in his life. He lacks true friends. Because if you had a true friend would say, "Hey, man, listen, you're great. You're amazing. You don't have to do this. Not every time. You got to at least save them. Like give yourself 10 a game. To be exasperated. And then when you're 10 or up, just be done."
Because by the way, plug for our Discord. We were talking in the Discord
Right.
during the game about how Shai is a really good proof of concept for how you don't have to complain all the time to get crazy amounts of free throws.
Yeah.
Because he went to the line 13 times in that game.
Yep.
And just doesn't complain. And it's not a big deal. Like if we had a player like Luca who complained all the time, we would obviously embrace that player. It's because we're on the other side of it. But man, it is just so annoying to watch. And I know this doesn't contribute to it, but in that game particular, it felt like there were so many reviews
Yes.
that I was blaming on Luca because, well, they must be reviewing it because he complains so much. There's some like when I was rewatching the game, there were multiple points during that game where I had to keep clicking the fast forward button because there was nothing going on the court.
I know. Yeah.
Who has been more, or who do you think was more bothersome as a neutral fan? I guess we're not really neutral, but James Harden, peak James Harden, or this version of Luca? Because Harden didn't really complain like this, but Harden also like grifted for fouls at a more elaborate way.
Yeah, to me, this is just more egregious because it's unnecessary. It's just unnecessary. Like Harden was doing it to get points,
right?
Like Luka's just doing it all the time. Just like no matter what happens. Like the foul grifting, it was annoying. But this is just kind of on a different level. It's just, and if you're a Luka fan, you kind of have to defend that. And this is something that I pointed out to Tyler Parker the other day. Came on the OKC Dream Team show. We were talking. We had this like long segment about Shai, and the great thing about Shai is like we don't have to defend him. Like there's nothing like Luka with the complaining, like Russ with like his inefficiencies, and just generally the way Russ acted. Like you don't have to defend him. You just let the compliments just flow. Because like the league, when they watch him, it's just like, oh my gosh, look at this guy. He's so good. There's like not a lot to, I don't know. You don't have to defend anything about Shai or his game right now.
And like when he is getting 13 free throws in a game, it's not because he's drawing fouls on the perimeter most of the time. It is because he is leading the league in drives and is just relentless about going in there over and over again.
Yeah, I put together like the highlight package of his game the other night, and I was watching it, and it's just like this constant, just him just going to the rim just over and over and over again. I mean, it's pretty impressive what he's able to do. And yeah, it's a joy to have a superstar like this. That's like, I mean, this must have like felt how, and I'm not trying to say he's going to be as good as this guy, but like having Steph Curry as your superstar, like you don't have to defend Steph Curry. Like he's just incredible, and he's not only incredible on the court, he's a great person, a leader, all these things, and you just like get to sit back and just let it be.
Yeah, and
pretty great.
I feel like there's more and more of those guys. I mean, I would put Tatum in there too, where it's like I don't have anything negative really to say about Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Same with Jokic. Giannis, other than pushing over the ladder, if that was his worst offense in his career, that's not too bad. Glad he didn't hit anyone. I did want to bring up a few what I thought were the key moments of that game.
Sure.
The final 2.5 minutes of the first half. I just want to walk through what happened real quick.
Yeah.
Because I thought it wasn't the reason they lost that game, but it was everything they did wrong in that game. They did wrong in that 2.5 minutes. So it started with a wide open Reggie Bullock three, when SGA helped on Luka in the lane. Do you know? So Dallas is third in the league in wide open 3 attempts per game, 21 attempts per game. And I know that stat can be a little wonky, but at least watching the game, it made sense. Do you know what team, just off the top of your head, generates the most wide open threes per game in the league?
I don't.
It is Oklahoma City. OKC.
Interesting.
23.4 attempts per game. And I think
Is
they had
that-
like
And that's probably because no one. It's
So-
like a strategy not to close out on their shooters.
yeah, exactly. And so Dallas, which I know some of their shooters have been off this season, THJ,
Yeah.
Dorian Finney-Smith's been pretty consistent. Bullock has not been shooting his normal, but like those guys are traditional shooters. We all acknowledge that they're shooters.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know how many wide open threes Dallas had in that game?
No, probably
They had 29.
Yeah.
Average 21 for the season, which is third best. They had 29 in that game, and they were 13 of 29 on those shots, which is about 45%. And watching that last 2.5 minutes defensively, it was like the same story every single trip down. Luka would drive into the lane. There was a clip, I was trying to clip it, but NBA doesn't let you do screenshots, where every single Thunder player had at least 1 foot in the lane.
Yeah.
And there were 3 guys, the 3 best guys, THJ, Bullock, and Dorian Finney-Smith, all wide open on perimeter. And so you saw this over and over again where he would just kick out to one of them, and Shai is running from like under the rim to try to contest this 3. There were so many plays like that. And I get why other teams guard OKC this way.
Yeah.
Because it's like you don't care. Like who's Shai going to kick out to? Like even though Poku's been very good from 3, do you really care that he's kicking out Poku?
Let Poku beat you. Is what I would say. Yeah.
But there were so many times where it's like, do we really need to help on Luka that much? I know he's great, but they were leaving up so many 3-pointers. Okay, so that was the first play, wide open Bullock 3. Dort missed a 3. That was the next play, and he knew he missed it. It was the one where he shot it and was already running to the rim because he knew he missed it. Then Poku gets a rebound. They miss a shot in transition, pass to Dort, who misses a layup. Then Luka gets an N1 when Dort just wipes out on a screen. It's not really his fault, but it left Isaiah Joe as the lone defender on Luka. Then Poku missed a wide open 3. Dort gets the rebound. They pass it back to Dort. He misses another 3. So we're already at 2 missed threes and a missed layup for Dort in this final 2.5 minutes. And then Tim Hardaway Jr. had a 3 where it looked like J-Dub thought they were switching. Like it did not look like it looked like he was definitely going to cover Luka, but Dort was also fighting so hard to get over the screen.
Yeah.
As a result, Tim Hardaway Jr. wide open 3. Then Dort had a turnover under the basket on the very next play. Then a Reggie Bullock wide open 3. Then we finally end with something nice, a J-Dub floater. And it just felt like that was emblematic of when they've been bad, this is what happens. Like, I did not mention SGA's name once on offense in all of that.
It's a problem.
I didn't mention Giddey's name in all of that. We finally get like a J-Dub floater at the very end. But those type of stretches, when they happen, and it feels like they happen every now and then, they're so frustrating because it feels like there are options. I mean, what J-Dub did in that game, if you look at his shot chart, he's not been good from 3. But his shot chart is like all these mid-range pull-ups that he is just killing this year.
Yeah.
Listen to this. So he
hit every mid-range pull-up in that game. I think
he did.
Aside from one.
And if you look at the overall stats, if you go on NBA.com, you can break it down. He's had 55 catch and shoot attempts. 54 of those have been 3-pointers, which makes sense. There's not a lot of catch and shoot 2s. This is like the one area game where it's been rough. He's shooting 29.6% on those catch and shoot 3-pointers. Has to be better on that.
Yeah.
Pull-ups, he's taken 37 pull-ups. 35 of them have been 2-pointers. He's only taken 2 pull-up 3-pointers. And he's missed both of them. But the pull-up 2-pointers, he's shooting 57%. 57% on pull-up 2-pointers.
He looks so comfortable doing it. I mean, it's
does.
just you can tell that like that is, and it's great because that's the pocket of the defense they leave open. You know,
Right.
like he's usually coming off a screen, attacking a big, and the big is dropping back. And so he did it against Christian Wood several times in that game, he would just wait until Wood was a little bit too far away to recover and just pull up. I mean, it was just money almost every single time. I mean, you look at what he's been able to do, let's just say over the past 10 games. He's 12.8 points per game, 54% from the field, 30% from three, 3 boards, 2.3 assists. I mean, he's been really, really good. I mean, it's kind of funny. You compare him to Jaden Ivey's stats over the last 10 games. They're almost like identical stats, except for Ivey's taking more shots and missing more shots.
Like what is Ivey shooting from the field?
In the last 10 games, Ivey's 34% from the field.
Okay.
And 23% from three. But it's the same, like 3 rebounds. He's averaging 1 more assist than J-Dub is, but he's got the ball a little bit more. And it's taken 12 shots to J-Dub's 9, 34% to J-Dub, 54%. I mean, it's just interesting to compare those two, and the situations are different. Obviously, like there's not a ton of pressure on J-Dub right now. Like he just gets to play this role. He's playing next to Shai and Giddey and gets to kind of pick his spots, where Jaden Ivey's like, yeah, you've got to help us. we're underwater here in Detroit. You got to help us. And he's trying, but he's just not been efficient. But the way that Jalen Williams has played has been crazy. And you're just like, okay, how scalable is this efficiency? At least from 2. Like, could he take 15 shots and shoot 54%? Like, is that a thing? Or is it just like these 9 shots are what are available to him, and he just takes the right kinds of shots like almost every time? There's been very few plays on offense that he's made this year where you're like, oh, that's not right. He shouldn't be doing that. He's kind of the anti-Dort on offense. He just makes the right decision nearly every time, and you're just like, okay, I like more of that, please. Like, let's do that, but just more often.
Yeah, I just his ability to get to his spots as a rookie, seemingly whenever he wants, and when he can't get to his spots, knowing that he hasn't gotten there, and passing out and doing something different.
Yeah.
Because we've seen with Dort and Baisley in particular, and sometimes with Josh as well, where they'll get in a bad spot and they'll just kind of force it and like, okay, let's just throw something up and see what happens.
Yeah.
That is not how J-Dub plays, and which makes it so frustrating that his plus minus continues to be so miserable. He was the team worst plus minus in that game. I think it's like a minus 24. And I know it's a dumb stat, but I still want it to start recognizing how good he is. So, Andrew, I went on pbpstats.com where you can like plug in different combos, because I just wanted to see, okay, is this because of J-Dub, or is it like a specific pairing with another player on the team that's really dragging him down? And so, like, for instance, you compare him with Giddey when he's when it's just J-Dub on the court, it's a minus 6.5. When you add Giddey, it becomes a minus 11.99. Okay, so it goes down, but that's pretty consistent. Same thing with SGA. When it's J-Dub by himself, minus 5. When you add SGA in, minus 12. You see that kind of a gap. However, and that's pretty consistent across like a lot of different players. The one player where he gets significantly better with, or the 2 players are JRE and Dort. When you add them onto the court with J-Dub, the net rating gets better. But the one that stuck out, J-Dub on the court with Poku off, minus 4.4. Okay. Add Poku onto the court with J-Dub, and they are at minus 21.24. That is by far the largest gap.
It's bad.
And I don't even, this isn't an anti-Poku thing, because I think
do that here.
Yeah, I think that Poku's been put in a really challenging position this year.
Yeah.
Because if Chet had been healthy, so much more of his minutes would be coming at the 4, and not just coming at the 4, but coming next to a legitimate rim protector.
Yeah.
And asking Poku to kind of, I mean, and to his credit, there were moments during the season and in that game where it's like, hey, that was a really nice like drop coverage play by Poku. He really was patrolling the paint there.
Yeah.
But on the whole, looking at the stats, it actually hasn't been that good when Poku has been at center.
Yeah.
And so looking at those two-man combinations, it just feels like that J-Dub Poku front court is not helping either guy necessarily. Now, we want to see those guys get minutes, so it's not like it's that big of a deal. But maybe that's one of the reasons why J-Dub's, net rating has looked so poor, like when you go and sort on cleaning the glass.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, it's the net rating stuff is going to be wonky all year. Also, just because there's so many different combinations, like there's no real chance for consistency with this Thunder team.
There's not.
Just with the amount of lineups they play. I mean, you got guys going in and out of the G League. You have stretches where it's like Wiggins is playing a big role and then he's gone, and then Isaiah Joe right now is playing a big role, but then he'll have a chance to sit at some point. I mean, it's just. I mean,
that's why
the lineup that's played the most has only played 87 minutes.
And that's why that game was kind of interesting, because that starting lineup played 16 minutes, which doesn't sound like an amazing amount, but like that is a lot for this Thunder season.
Yeah, when the most played lineup this season has only played 10 games together, 10.
Yeah.
And played only 87 minutes. That's the most. That's the very most. And it's Shai, Dort, Poku, JRE, Giddey. This is like a pretty typical Thunder starting lineup. You know what they are as a 5-man unit, net rating wise?
Well, the starting lineup against Dallas was a -20, so I'm going to guess somewhere around there.
Minus 27.9 in their 87 minutes together.
Okay, so improvement.
Yeah. However, listen to this. In 80 minutes, you add J-Dub in for Poku.
So it's J-Dub and JRE.
Yep, J-Dub and Jerry. Only a -5.
Yeah, that was the combination that I saw that I was like, Of course, Jerry just like looks...
And he just like destroys his ankle. Yeah, it looked really bad.
Yeah, it did. And he was like limping back to the...
Yeah, it'll be... He'll be out for a minute, I would guess.
A few more lineup things. I thought it was hilarious that the lineup that almost brought them back, it was only 4 minutes, but the lineup that was SGA, Isaiah Joe, Lou Dort, Baisley, and Eugene Omoruyi.
Yeah.
What a weird lineup. When I saw that lineup come in, I said, well, this isn't going to be good. This looks miserable. They better hold Dallas to 0 points, because I don't know how they're going to score. Everyone's just going to load up on SGA, and we're going to get like a bunch of Dort and Bays threes. And they did it, Andrew. They that was the best lineup of the night somehow. So maybe we need to see more of these all defense units. And then you plug in Isaiah Joe in there, who again was awesome. And by the way, last time on the pod last week, I mentioned how if you look at everyone who takes at least 2.93 per game, which is what Isaiah Joe is taking, the minimum minutes per game that a guy is getting is 18, which I think was Sam Hauser with Boston.
Yeah.
Who is shooting that well, because I think I made the cutoff like 45%.
Yeah.
Since then, Isaiah Joe's been averaging exactly like 18 minutes per game. He's gotten 18, 19, and 20.
They heard you.
These last 3 games, and it's been great. Like every single time he's on the court has been good. You keep waiting for like the moment where he just has the off game and is like 0 for 5 for 3.
Yeah,
and it does not happen. Every time the ball goes up, I'm wondering, is this going to be the start? Is it all about to be revealed to be fake? But no, he just keeps nailing threes.
Yeah, and you just start to wonder, like, is Isaiah Joe going to be a part of this team? Like, can he be like the shooter off the bench for this team?
Well, I was kind of like, I guess kind of half joking, half just kind of like trying to wish it into existence. it is a kind of thing where, like, if you shoot 45% from three and you're not the worst defensive player in the world, like, eventually the team just has to play you.
Yeah.
Like,
I
there's
think-
a point where the value from that shooting is so high that you can't really justify playing someone else because that is, like, such a valuable piece to have.
Yeah, he's like forcing the hand of Mark Daigneault right now.
Yeah, and normally I would be, miffed and peeved because obviously it seems to be taking minutes from Aaron Wiggins,
And Trey.
and Trey, but I think it's deserved, and I think there's other ways to get those guys minutes. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've been thrilled with Isaiah Joe. I was wondering, because you've been to a lot of games at this point, have you yet spotted an Isaiah Joe jersey in the wild?
I have not. The only Joe jersey that I've seen is just his in the locker room, hanging in the locker room. It just says Joe.
Because his last name is Joe, it's already kind of a cool looking jersey because it just says Joe on the back.
It says Joe.
But it feels like a if like a hipster pick. If you're about to get a new jersey, getting Isaiah Joe jersey is pretty cool because I bet not a lot of people are going to have that, and so I know it's going to happen. Somebody's going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend the investment.
Oh,
Jerseys are very expensive.
I would strongly recommend the investment.
But
we're not
Hey.
asking to buy Eugene Omarui.
yeah,
This
we're
is
not buying Eugene
Isaiah
jersey.
Joe,
Yeah.
sniper.
What's the jerseys you should buy? The official Thunder jerseys you should buy rankings.
Okay, so I think, and I'm ranking these a combination of how safe you should feel buying them,
Yeah.
and then just like not thinking too hard
Also-
about it to thinking.
Also,
hard
just
about it.
like in 20 years, you're gonna pull that jersey out and be like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing! Like, I'm so glad I have this."
Well, that's different because in that case, getting a Eugene Omarui jersey would actually be
No,
incredible.
no,
to
no,
have in 20
No,
years.
no, it would
And
not.
trying to explain to anyone.
Yeah, no, not that though. Not like that. Not like
Okay,
that. Just like it
I
brings
think-
like the memories just flood back in.
so I think you start with SGA as the obvious no-brainer pick.
Yeah.
If you don't want to think too hard about it, you just get SGA.
Yeah.
I think number 2 is Chet.
There's a lot of Chet jerseys already floating around.
Yeah, which makes sense. I think that makes a lot of sense. Then I think you probably go Giddey after that,
Yes.
probably.
Yeah.
This is where it can get interesting. I think you could go Poku. This is kind of like the guys you're hoping turn into something great. So it's like Poku or J-Dub.
I'd recommend J-Dub. Like I'd get one now. Like if you have a J-Dub
Get it now in case they raise the price.
I'm just saying, if you have it now and you wear it now, like you're a hipster. Like you're a cool NBA fan,
Yeah, you're getting on the ground floor.
Yeah, and then I'd go Poku. Just having a Poku jersey, I kind of wish, just like it says Joe on the back of Isaiah Joe's jersey, that it would just say Poku.
Poku. Yeah, that would be nice. And to that point, a Dort jersey is cool because Dort's just a great last name and it looks cool on a jersey.
Yeah, as whatever you think about Dort's play recently, just put that in the back of your mind and buy yourself a Dort jersey because it's kind of cool.
So, and then after that, now it's getting risky.
This is risky.
And so this is where I'd say, you know what? Unless you're a huge Trey Man fan, go Isaiah Joe. If you're the person who already has 7 jerseys or however many people we just listed out, make that 8th one an Isaiah Joe jersey.
What about an Usman Jang jersey? Are you ready?
Oh yeah, we should probably
Jang?
include him as well. I mean that's
I talked about J-Dub being like the hipster pick. The wearing a Jang jersey to a Thunder game is like the ultimate Thunder hipster.
And if you get it customized to say Jang Gang, that would be
even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a few other stats I just wanted to bring up. So looking at Giddey's threes, because he's been really good over this recent stretch. I think he's hitting over 50% of his last 22.
Last 5 games, he is 50% on 4.
Okay. I was looking at his stats last year. So he took 207 threes. 24% of them were pull-up threes.
Wow.
And he actually shot better on his pull-up threes. He shot 33% on those pull-up threes.
Wow.
He only shot 25% on catch and shoot threes, which made up 75% of his shot diet. This year, he's only taken 9 pull-up threes out of 72 threes, which represents 12% of his 3-pointers. So last year it was 25% of his 3-pointers were pull-ups. This year it's down to 12%. He's made 1 of 9. Okay, hasn't been good.
1 of 9.
But the catch and shoot threes, which are the ones that right now make more sense for him, he's shooting 33%.
That's
so
great.
I'm feeling hopeful, I would say.
Yeah, you can tell the work that he's put in. There are times, and some of it is just because no one guards Josh Giddey when he shoots the 3. But you can see him adjusting the ball after he catches it before he shoots it, which is definitely something that he's working on, especially with the thumbs. And so that's great. Like, he really is. And this is a great attribute for an NBA player, is like just being coachable, because you're one of the 400 best players in the entire world. And a team is coming to you saying, hey, we want you to get better at this. We want you to change these things. This guy's going to tell you how to do it. If you get to that, and some of these guys, when they get to this point, they're like, do you realize who you're talking to? Like, I'm one of the best players in the world right now.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that I need to change something. It takes some humility on Josh's part to be able to do that. And you can tell that he's really doing it. I mean, over the last 10 games, I mentioned over the last 5 games, he's 50%, but over the last 10 games, he's 39% from 3.
Yeah, it gives you hope. I mean, you don't want to get too excited because, we've seen this with Dort. Dort has had, in fact, he just had one, like a streak over a certain number of games where he was shooting like 40% from 3.
Yeah.
I remember at the beginning of that one season, I don't know if it was last season or the season before, where he shot like 40% for a month.
Yeah.
So, we're not out of the woods in terms of...
No. Just the fact that he can make a 10-game stretch, and it's not like he's taking it's like a ton of threes. I mean, it's a 28 shots.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not anything to go crazy on. I think that the number that he shot on the whole season, that's a number where you're like, okay, that is where he is, this season. It's not that the last 10 games, it's what has he done with 75 threes? Well, he shot 32%, and even if you told me like before the season, like, hey, he's, a quarter way through the season, a little bit more than that, he's shooting, 32% from 3. You're like, oh, great progress.
Yeah, because as a reminder, he shot 26% last year.
Yeah, I mean, that is significant progress, and you can tell. And he's taking the right kinds of shots. And Shai is the one that's fighting him a lot of times. I mean, this is kind of what we had hoped. This is kind of progress that we had hoped to see this year. And we thought it would be more of Shai off ball, but it's been a lot of Giddey off ball, like finding spots and taking spot up threes and being willing to, score more around the basket and things like that, and not have the ball in his hands all the time. Where when we had that moment, that Phoenix game in particular last year, which was the whole not my plan A thing from Shai, it feels like there's been a departure from that. It feels like it's been, hey, no, this is Shai's team, and no one can gripe about that.
Right. Yeah. For good reason.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of encouraging signs this year, especially when it comes to the way that Josh and Shai are starting to play together. I mean, it's great. And I just think, I think that Chet will change all of it anyways, but it helps to get this kind of start for them.
I know it is so. Actually, I was going to ask you this. If you think about players who your opinion of them will change the most by the introduction of Chet, or who will have like a new ceiling will be revealed for that player when you see them playing next to Chet? Who would you put like at the top of that list?
Is it insane to say Shai?
It's scary because what would that even be?
I don't know. I just think introducing a player for the defense to care about could
Yeah.
unlock Shai further.
Yeah, if he has any like if he has any shot making ability and you have him with J-Dub and Shai on the court at the same time, like that's 3 legit threats that
Yeah.
you should be worried about.
And if Giddey can do what he's done so far and like continue to improve as well, he's just like another smart player on the court that rebounds really well, that can help find good shots, that can make a spot up 3. I mean, you're starting to see like the team form, and they're not good yet, but you can see like the bones of a good team forming like before our eyes. And it really, they lack a presence in the middle, and they lack somebody for the defense to care about. And that's what's great about Chet coming back next year, is that he provides both of those things. And hopefully he stays healthy and has a long career with the Thunder. And if he does, I mean, I think it could unlock a lot for him. Who did you have in mind?
I think the guys who have been kind of forced to play the center roles, like Barry and Poku,
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be an entirely different on-court experience for them when they are playing next to someone like Chet,
Yeah.
and do not have to shoulder the entire burden of protecting the rim.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you could see, especially with JRE, like if they come out next year with like Shai, well, I don't want to get into the Dort conversation, but Shai, I'll just name 4 players: Shai, J-Dub, JRE, and Chet in like a lineup. If that was like a starting lineup, and I'm assuming Dort's the 5th one in that scenario, but then of course,
What about
would
Giddey?
do? I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to have this conversation. I'm just saying that lineup, those 4 guys, I think that would really help Jerry.
Yeah. I mean, all he has to do is hit spot up 3s and play defense.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like, is basically PJ Tucker, you know?
Yeah. It'd be really nice. So yeah, I'm very excited for next season. It does feel like we're entering kind of like the dog days of the NBA season.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's nice they're going to have this homestand, because this homestand will probably decide the season. I mean, the season's probably already been decided in some respects, but you never know with a homestand this long.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 7 games.
It's a long homestand.
And there's some tough matchups in there, but that hasn't really stopped them before. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking at this 7-game stretch. It's either going to, I feel like it's going to be 3-4 or 4-3.
Yeah. Well, let's talk more about that home stretch right after this quick break. And we're back after that quick break. Yeah, I agree. I think this will determine a lot of where this team is headed. And I don't know. I agree that they're going to win some of these games. There's just no doubt about that. I mean, they play Miami tonight. Jimmy Butler's out.
Yeah.
This Heat team has not been great. In fact, like one of the worst teams to watch all season. I hate watching the Heat. They're terrible, man. They're awful to watch. But without Jimmy, they just haven't been very good at all. Like there's just they can't score. Like they just struggle to score the basketball. And Jimmy's like a lot of times has been their saving grace there at the end of games. And if he's not there, then it's rough. And then Friday they get the Minnesota Timberwolves. We all know the chaos that has been around the Timberwolves. feel like the Thunder have played the Timberwolves 300 times already this season. It's like when I saw that on the schedule, I just said, why? But they play them again on Friday. Back-to-back Saturday against the Memphis Grizzlies, who have been, even without Desmond Bane, the best team in the NBA over the last 10 games or so. Like that will be a tough one and like could be a blowout if things go right, and it's a back-to-back, but it's home, so it's like whatever. And then they do this thing where they play the Blazers on Monday and Wednesday of the following week. They did this earlier in the season with the Clippers, but they get to see the Blazers twice. That's a good team. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the Thunder got one of those. It wouldn't surprise me if they didn't get either of those. Then they have the Pelicans on Friday, December 23rd. Pelicans they lost last night, but they've otherwise been rolling, and they might or probably have Brandon Ingram back for that game too. So that's interesting. And then the red hot San Antonio Spurs, who have somehow, by the grace of God, won 3 games in a row.
Yeah, it is truly wild that we're at this point in the season and both Houston and San Antonio are just 2 games back of OKC.
Yeah,
I would have never guessed that. And with
they feel worlds away from being where the Thunder are, and it's like, yeah, they're really not.
Yeah, and to Houston's credit, like they have like legit wins. Like they've played really well. They played really well against Phoenix last night. Yeah,
they're starting to scrape together a little something there.
I mean, they beat the Bucks.
Yes, that is really something. I don't know what to think about it. I don't know if it's like classic good team underestimating bad team. I don't know what it is, but they've strung together some wins too.
But I think if you're a tank head, you're looking at the standings and it's like, oh, we're not that far out. As long as and Orlando's been picking up. Orlando, I think, has won 3 in a row. They're up to 8 wins. So who knows? I mean, the nice thing about this season is, as we've seen, SGA has basically been playing the entire season. I think he missed 1 game, and this is their record.
Yeah,
like you don't really maybe have to sit SGA at any point, and you would still have like a lottery worthy record.
Yeah,
like lottery pick worthy record.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to have. Yeah, I think that 538 thinks that they're going to be the fifth in the reverse standings by the end of the season. Some of this is helped by like Utah. Like Utah's still winning games, and the Pacers are still winning games, and that's been a big help to OKC, because you could have easily seen them, winning this amount of games and being like 10th, and like I hate that range. I hate being in that range. It's like the Wizards range, where if you're in that range in the draft, it's like flipping a coin if you're going to get a player or not. They took Johnny Davis, who I like Johnny Davis in the draft process, but he has been putrid so far. Summer League, G League, NBA, it's all bad.
They lost 7 in a row, and he's not getting any minutes.
Yeah, they don't have a point guard. They don't have a point guard right now. And they're like, yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Stay over there. I mean, it's not good. And you don't want to be in that range. So if they can end up 5 or 6, like I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, it is so wild that they are closer to Houston and San Antonio than the Pacers or the Jazz. I mean, that is just so different from what I thought this season, how it was going to go. Really, the only team that's kind of like thrown their hat in the mix that maybe was a surprise to people, but probably shouldn't have been, was Charlotte. Like we all knew the Spurs, Houston, Orlando, Detroit would likely be down there. Obviously, I was higher on Orlando, and it hasn't worked out. But yeah, there's no real threats, because I look at Washington and it's like, what are they really going to do? You can't. How do you pivot? Like, you just signed Beal to this huge deal. You just traded for Porzingis. You just brought in like all these good role players.
Flipping Kuzma for John Collins was like in Sham's recent article. It's like, what is and like, what does that even do for you as the Wizards? Like I kind of like that for the Hawks, just because I think that that adds the kind of player that they need. But
It
like
probably gets the leaker off of the team, because what other explanation is there for them wanting to get rid of John Collins all the time, forever and ever?
it is weird. It is really weird. Because it
There
was like,
has to be stuff.
because
going
before
on.
it was like, oh, like they don't want to pay him. Well, then they paid him.
Then they paid him.
And now it's like, yeah, we still don't want him. I don't know. It is a weird situation. The Hawks are in like a very, very weird situation. I talked about this on Monday with McKelly, but it's like the Hawks are like a great reason why like you don't want to push the button too early. Because it's like, yeah, they got to the East Finals. That's great. But now like they have expectations because they did that. And they kind of got there in a little bit of a fluky manner because that Sixers team just fell apart on national television, you know?
Yeah, because once you're at this point, the only next step is rebuilding at some point. Like you've gotten like to that next step. You've in terms of like the moves you've made.
Yeah.
Like the only expectations now are playoff success. And so if you don't achieve playoff success, the only other option at that point is you be the Wizards forever or you have to rebuild. It's not like I think Atlanta's going to blow it up anytime soon, but that pressure on them, which was all self-imposed,
Right.
it just it feels like like if they had lost that Bulls game, which they probably should have lost, that game was insane. I think there were 3 lead changes in the last like second or something.
Yeah.
They would be on a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah.
Heading into play Orlando, who has won 3 in a row. Yeah, I hate the Hawks right now. Like I'm just so, in terms of like their future and how they're going to figure this out, it feels like they need a move. And there are positives, like AJ Griffin has been very impressive this season.
Yeah.
Jalen Johnson's finally getting minutes. So you see that like there is a young core here, but we don't think of them as a young core. We think of them as like, oh, this team has expectations. They need to be making the second round of the playoffs every single year.
Yeah. Yeah. And like part of what the Hawks did that the Thunder aren't doing is like Danilo Gallinari played 25 minutes per game for them in the playoffs. You know, Lou Williams played 15 minutes per game for them in the playoffs. You know, Clint Capella, who they traded for, played a big role for them. Bogdan Bogdanovic played a big role for them in the playoffs, who's like in trade rumors for them now. It's like, and the Kevin Huerter thing, golly. I mean, they traded Kevin Huerter for basically relief, cap relief. And like he was one of their most important players. He played 31 minutes for them. And then now you're kind of left with this team where it's like, okay, like, yeah, they made a big trade in the summer. You're like, this is why, because a part of the reason why they did that is they feel this pressure, like, oh yeah, we got to the East Finals, like we gotta get back there again. How do we get back there again? Well, maybe we make this DeJounte Murray deal, and they made. I don't know. Like this is why you would rather your team be patient. And like I know that like national media and people are always like clamoring, like, "Oh, get Shai some help." You know, look at was Shai gonna want out and blah 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 blah. And like Shai has never said anything that makes you think that he wants out now. Now that doesn't mean that that'll be forever. Like we don't know. But like what he said to Joe Masato, that he trusts Presti, that Presti's everything that Presti has said has come to fruition. You know, so like this is why if your star is not pushing and saying like you got to get me somebody now, like I'm ready to win now, like you got to be okay with letting things just kind of develop, because you know you get players like Chet and whoever they're going to get in this next draft, and then you get to kind of see who you are without having to make a Clint Capella trade or a Gallinari trade, or you know bring old man Lou Williams onto your team to play minutes.
Yeah, it almost felt like they probably felt like they were in a similar situation to Portland, where it's like Trae Young is so good, as long as we just surround him with a decent cast and we don't have injuries, we'll be at least a 500 team, make the playoffs every year. And part of it is just that the NBA is better than it was 5 years ago.
No doubt.
Where you look at the East now and there just aren't guarantees in the way there used to be. Plus, now that the last 2 spots have to go to a play-in game, just makes that tougher as well.
Yep.
But another part of it is that Trae Young is not Dame.
Yeah.
He's a super good player, and he's still going to get a lot better. But Dame, as he showed this week, is just like he's just at another level. And I don't think Trae is that guy yet, where you can just plug it around him and just assume you're going to make the playoffs every single year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And all the locker room, just nonsense as well.
I know.
And that's another thing that like makes Damian Lillard. It's like none of that stuff's going on with him. Like, can you imagine a press conference where Dame is having to answer questions like Trae did the other day?
I mean, the only time you really saw it was when, was it the Olympics or was it FIBA? Whenever Dame went overseas, and there was a Chris Haynes like interview, that like suggested that Dame might be unhappy.
Well, he was like LeBron and all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
That was like the only time you ever heard anything. And then since then, it's like we have to get a weekly reminder that Dame is fully locked into Portland.
Well, and to mirror that to Shai, like, can you imagine Shai having to answer questions like that, like coming up to the media? And I'm just trying to imagine who would be the local media to talk to Shai like that local TV guy did.
To like really challenge him.
Yeah, to like get in his grill.
Oh, it'd have to be Dino.
Yes, Dean Blevins. Yes, Dean Blevins attacking Shai. Would be amazing. Yeah, I just can't imagine it. Like, I just cannot imagine having to be in that setting where Shai's having to answer questions about him not showing up to the arena for a game.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've been very lucky so far.
I believe that's the kind of guy that he is. And the Hawks are lucky to have Trae in a lot of ways, but you have these things to deal with certain superstars. It's kind of circling back to what we talked about earlier. Like, Shai is like such a blessing to the Thunder fan base. Like, not only on the court, but the way that he, conducts himself off the court as well is pretty impressive. Like, he's just an impressive person.
Yeah, and you just hope that next season with Chet and whoever the draft pick is going to be, that like as positive as the media coverage has been of OKC this season, like next year it could get much more real. Because you look at the Western Conference, they're like still, yes, they've lost some games, but they're still, a couple games out of the play-in.
Yeah.
If you add in someone like Chet, it seems believable that they would be in a position where they're right around there.
Yeah.
And so the conversation is only going to get more fun with this team going forward.
Yeah. I mean, give J-Dub a year to develop and like a full summer of NBA training.
Yeah. And he's going to play Summer League.
He's going to play Summer League.
He played the Combine games.
That's right. You give Giddey another year of development, a full year to have Chip England with him, teaching him how to shoot better. I mean, there's some exciting stuff, and guys are going to fall off along the way. Like, Tre Mann has fallen off this year. I'm not like burying Tre Mann here, but like, not everybody's going to be good. But if you just get a handful of guys out of the big lot that Sam has, you can get pretty good pretty fast. Like, I think this team has the ability to like truly be in the play-in conversation. Because I mean, it's hard to imagine a world where like the Lakers like actually get better next year. I think they're gonna be in the mix as early as next season, and it's still is like they still have a ton of assets coming their way. The real Houston picks don't start until the next year. So you could have a team that is either making the play-in or like on the verge of making the play-in, and then get like a middling pick of their own, but then get like the 6th pick from Houston or whatever.
Yeah, and pressure will be increased among the fan base, but it still won't be like it will be for the Timberwolves, who even now OKC is only 2 games back of. Like,
Without a doubt.
if they don't make the playoffs this year, one, they might make a huge move. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
But they also are going to come into next season with massive amounts of pressure. Whereas OKC is going to have some local pressure, but it's still going to feel a little like we're on a joyride, especially if they start off strong and they're just kind of in the play-in conversation. I think
Yeah.
people will be satisfied with that. I think the only thing that would upset people is if everyone's healthy and they get off to like a 3-12 start.
Yeah.
That would be massively disappointing coming off
no
of this
doubt.
season.
Yeah, no doubt. And the thing about Presti that I have like real confidence in with regards to like pressure and regards to like pressing the button and everything is like Presti didn't press the button until that last team was ready, which was like Perk was like the first like real button they pushed. And like trading for a center. Like he didn't push it until he knew they were ready, until they were actually winning. Then he's like, okay, like you guys are ready. I will allow this to happen now. When this team shows that they can win, if they start next season like 12-7 or something like that, and it's like, oh, okay, they might be ready to win now. Let's give this another 20 games and see. And if they can replicate that again, it's like, oh, okay. Like before the deadline, maybe we can go get this piece because we know that they need this. And it may not be a full year before like that's ready, but I'm just saying like when this team shows like that to me will be, and it was like the barometer for the last team. I think it'll be the same for this team. It's like people are like, when are they gonna add this or go use their picks to trade for like I can tell you that we've seen it before. When this team shows they're ready to win, the button will be ready and available. And until then, I just don't think you do it.
Yeah, the one exception I would say is if there's a deal that is just so good, like where it's a guy that the Thunder have already been targeting around the league that becomes available, I don't think you pass up that opportunity because, as we've talked before, these opportunities don't come along every single day or every single season.
Yeah.
So if there is a player that becomes available that is on the Thunder's list and he is actually available with the assets that they're comfortable with giving up, I don't think you can just let that pass you by.
Yeah.
If it really is the guy. And of course I don't have any idea who that would be.
Yeah.
And it probably won't happen just because these guys don't become available that
We're
often.
talking like a star player that just is like they fit like a glove next to Shai.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, definitely. Like that button is always there and ready to push.
Yeah, like who's just a name? Okay, what about this? Never happened, obviously, never happened. But if Jaylen Brown, for whatever, what if the Celtics?
This is the exact conversation that I had with McKelly. Like personality wise, like I don't think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he seems cool to me.
yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, a guy like that, a big wing that everyone loves. Okay, fine.
Exact conversation I had with McKelly on Monday.
Whatever. There's no perfect player.
I know this is why this is like the exact reason why they will wait. You know what I mean?
Unless.
Like the Celtics are so good.
Okay, I said not him. Someone like him, Andrew. Whatever.
This is why like you just wait and you develop J-Dub. You give yourself like time to see what Ousmane Dieng is. Who had like 16 rebounds in the G League yesterday. Which is weird. Like I believe that that's correct, but then you go look at the G League box score and it says a different number.
Oh, really?
So,
that's suspicious.
I don't know. I don't know if the Blue are pumping up their numbers and just like, no one's going to check this. Like no one even watched this. Who cares? I believe that their number is correct, but the G League box scores are not super reliable anyhow. But
before we leave, 2 more things, Andrew.
Yeah.
First, I said at the beginning of the season, my Thunder rooting interests would be based on which fan bases have created the most or least amount of fake SGA trades.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to update myself and everyone else on the Toronto Raptors,
Yeah.
who have not had a good season. They are currently 13-14.
Yeah.
If you go to Basketball Reference and you sort by 3-point attempts per game, how many players do you think you have to get to until someone is shooting better than 34%?
For the Raptors?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. They have been really bad.
You have to get to 8 players. Malachi Flynn is the first player, and he's taking 2.3 a game and isn't even playing.
I was going to say, he has probably played. Let me look. He's
All of Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG, Siakam, Scotty Barnes, Chris Boucher, and Precious Achiuwa are shooting under 34%.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
That is incredible. And, they felt like they were, one piece away. That's why they were making all those fake SGA trades. It's not pure so. And you start looking at this team, and it's like, I don't even know what this team really is. Like, if Scotty Barnes, if it takes him a couple more years, which is totally normal and fine for him to reach like an all-star level, like a lot of these guys are going to be aging out. And there's guys like Fred VanVleet who have fallen off a cliff to such a dramatic extent going back to last season after he got the knee injury, that like the idea that they have all these assets that are, kind of these mid-sized contracts that any team would want, like that's starting to kind of not look real either. And so I'm just super interested to see what Masai does, because the Raptors fans have a lot of expectations, obviously.
Yeah.
And this isn't really a young team, outside of Scotty Barnes. Like all their young guys are kind of like guys you would project to be role players, like Christian Koloko or Banton or, some of these guys.
Barnes is the youngest guy on the team. Yeah. And they're like Gary Trent's 24, OG's 25, Pascal's 28, Fred's 28. Yeah.
Like we talk about OKC kind of hitting that time zone, and that's when they need to be progressing. And it feels like outside of Scotty, like the rest of the squad has reached that point.
Yeah.
And they just seem so far away.
Yeah. Scotty's had a rough season so far.
He's had a really rough season.
Yeah. He's, 2 less points per game than his rookie season. The shot is just like, he's just not there. 44% from the field, 32% from 3. He was almost 50% from the field last year. Didn't shoot it well from 3, but it was like, at least the ball was going in. The scouting report's out. That's the thing with these sophomores. It's like the scouting report is out on these guys. Even with Josh. And like Josh has had to find a counterpunch. And that's something that the Thunder talk about all the time. It's like they're going to take away what you do best. And then after that, how do you figure out how to play?
There have been way less giddy highlight passes this year. Like just the crazy passes.
Yeah. They know they're coming. They know where he wants to throw it, and they're going to take it away.
Yes. And he has made a counter. I think the what you talked about on Monday, like the strength and physicality of driving to the rim, has been a real development. And obviously Scotty needs to figure out what his thing is going to be.
Yeah.
He's big enough where you think that would kind of be his thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just enjoying the Raptors scene from the outside, Andrew. They made a lot of fake SGA trades, and I'm afraid it might not happen. I don't know if they have the pieces anymore to make that trade, which is a bummer. The other thing I wanted to mention, I mentioned it earlier, Down to Dunk has a Discord, which we've actually had for 2 years now, set up by Nathan Stinson. Shout out to Nathan.
Shout out, Nate.
And we now have over 500 members. 500 Down to Dunkers. Yes, it is. And I just wanted to encourage anyone, if you're bored or you just want to try something new, on game nights, we have a game thread specific to the game, and you can just come in and watch with us. We had like 20, 25 people for the Mavs game, and it was a blast. It's just a Thunder-only feed. No distractions from other teams.
Yep. Just
talking Thunder all game, and it was great. I had a lot of fun, and I'll be there again tonight.
Yeah, check out the Discord. I'm very interested to see how Shai plays against the Heat. The Heat have been really good at disrupting guards like him this year. namely Tyrese Halliburton, who had 1 point in 33 minutes against them the other night.
Yeah, and he's on your fantasy team, which isn't helping you.
It wasn't ideal to have 1 point from one of my better players. Oh man. Do you have a link that you could post here in the chat for the Discord, Al?
Yes, I do. Give me just 1 second.
So
Here
Al
it
will post
is.
the link here in the chat. Also, we will retweet it through the Down to Dunk account as well. So join us on the Discord. If you don't know what Discord is, it's just like a way to chat with people. It's
How do
really-
Here, I'll just comment it to you. I don't know how to send it.
Okay. And then Will Birch has said, have you guys ever considered doing playback watch along like Ball and Dunker Spot?
Yeah, I just watched. I was watching Ball because YouTube TV wasn't working, and it was the only way I could get YouTube TV to work was to watch the Sixers game with Trill also watching it.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yes.
yeah,
the answer to that is yes. I've actually had a meeting set up with the playback guys for 2 months, and we haven't been able to make it work. But like, yes, they're interested in having us do some stuff, and I am semi-interested in doing it. So we'll see.
You really want to choose a good game because if you do get a blowout,
yeah,
it's
and
where
it
becomes like a 3-hour pod, which is exhausting. As long as the game is entertaining and there's stuff to talk about,
Yeah,
it sounds fun. I am terrified of it being like a 30-point loss, and we're just talking about Pokemon, whatever Luke wants to talk about.
I know. Well, at least go join the Discord, and it'll be fun. It's very fun. So I hope you guys enjoy your day, and we will talk to you guys again on Friday.